I share my colleagues' concerns, obviously, about whistleblowers. I think while everyone who has the mantle of responsibility certainly wants to do right with their organization, when we do see individuals that have the courage to come forth, they have to be protected. I think that's the bipartisan motivation of everyone on our committee today. I want to take questions more on the security end and take it in a little bit different direction, however. Inspector General Roth, I too share my colleagues' opinion of the competence of your office and your personal diligence. The record has just been outstanding. But my question today deals with vapor weight dog teams in terms of security, and you'll see why here in a moment. Did the IG in the reports make any recommendations on vapor weight dog teams and how they should be deployed or how they should be used at different airports?
We have not looked at that issue. My understanding is that GAO may have done some work on that, but we have not.
Okay, I appreciate that. And Admiral Neffenger, as a preface, first off, I take some comfort knowing that you're at the helm of this organization. I don't think anyone who has advanced to your level as an admiral in our Coast Guard, who has protected our shorelines and protected our borders, has anything other than the interest of the defense of our country, and I appreciate that. I also think that it probably gives you incredible insight in dealing with a myriad of problems in a very complex and at times lethargic organization. In Oklahoma City, in my district, the vapor wake dog team issue came to mind because Acting Federal Security Director Steve Courtright had cited that it was the IG's reports as the reasons for the elimination of vapor wake dog teams from airports such as Will Rogers World Airport. And it was due to the need for performance and screening and getting people through, and therefore these airports would have to lose their dog teams. And in the case, although we had Will Rogers, that was one of the charter 5 original airports in the training of these teams. They trained 4 such teams very effectively, allowed great throughput. The entire program was eliminated from that airport, and I suspect it's probably not the only one. So my question to you is, why would a federal security director make the claim that it was the IG and their findings that would call for the elimination of that program, and why would we not want these teams at airports that might have less capacity other than a huge airport, but they also might have greater vulnerability for infiltration? It seems to me that security-wise it makes good sense, and I realize that this is not part of the normal stuff, but it is very important for security.
Well, I'm not sure what the Federal Security Director's discussion was. Let me tell you from my perspective what we've done. I like we call them passenger screening canines, vapor wake dogs. These are dogs that work the passenger line, and they look for trace odors, and they follow them back to their source. It's a tremendous resource. It's a great explosive detection technology that we have, and it can move people very efficiently through a security line. I don't have as many of those dogs as I'd like to have, and so so this is my decision, so I'm the guy you need to look at for this. It was my decision to take dogs from some airports that aren't seeing as much volume as some of the largest airports for the coming summer, in order to meet what we know to be the real passenger volumes that we're going to see in these large airports. It was never my intention to eliminate their use. So right now we have about 322 total dogs that TSA operates. Most of those were trained to do cargo sniffing, not passenger screening. We're in the process of converting as many of those as we can to passenger screening canines. It takes about a month or so to do that.
And I appreciate that.
And we're continuing to do that.
I would just ask, and again, security has been much of my life and a lot of my interest here in Congress. I would ask that we would consider, if I were an enemy, I would infiltrate in small or regional airports, simply because there's a better chance of infiltration than in a large one. And deploying all the assets, once you get in the loop, you're inside the loop, no matter where you originated or flew from. And so I would ask that you relook some of this specifically in a vulnerability stance, not necessarily a regional or political stance. That's irrelevant, in my view, when it comes to security of the nation. But we ought to relook rather than putting everything where we expect to have a problem and maybe leave areas vulnerable where we don't.